there's something happening at the airport. We don't quite know what it is. I've been since about 8 o'clock trying to wrestle it out of anybody that knows these things. Ryanair have an announcement coming at the airport at 11 o'clock this morning, and they're saying nothing. But it's to do with the winter schedule and all this talk about the cap and flights out in Dublin that they can't do and stuff like that. Could we be about to get something really nice out of Ryanair for the winter out of Cork? That's where we start this morning. And also maybe we'll talk to them a little bit about the budget and tourism and whether there'll be anything good or there has been anything good in the budget for tourism. Eoghan Corry, travel journalist, of course, editor of Air and Travel magazine. First of all, can you shed any light on what they plan to tell us at 11 o'clock at the airport to do with Ryanair? Is it big, or is the hype bigger than the actual announcement? Good morning to you.
Oh, good morning, PJ. No, it's not going to be enormous, but it is basically continued presence at Cork, possibly another couple of routes. You've got to remember, PJ, Cork is already very heavily dependent on Ryanair. It's got, of the 55 routes out of Cork, 27 of them are Ryanair. And if you're to total, like the Aer Lingus have 6 and one more on the way, to the Glasgow one coming in for the winter, and 5 seasonal. But if you're to total all the non-Aer Lingus and Ryanair airlines out of Cork, there's only basically 4 routes and only 4 airlines, and 3 of those are seasonal. What we're seeing, and it's a danger, is Cork Airport becoming more dependent on Ryanair.
And of course they'd know it, and they'd turn the screw then. So we don't know what we're getting.
They can't turn the screw anymore because Cork Airport's rates, incentives for airlines are, as far as I can see, among the best on the continent. There's a lot of competition between regional airports in Spain and Italy, and they've given really good rates to Ryanair and incentives, the money up front. But Cork is as good as it gets, and it's down to Kenny Jacobs since he took over as CEO of the Dublin Airport Group, which controls Dublin and Cork airports. He's really made it attractive for airlines to come into Cork.
Well, he should. He went to school in this very building where I now sit, so he should. So we'll see what comes.
Very strong Cork allegiance. It has so many in Irish aviation. Michael Cawley, the former Ryanair man, who never referred to Cork Airport as Cork Airport. He always called it Farmer's Cross.
That'll tell you how pure Cork he is. That'll tell you. So something coming at 11 o'clock. We don't quite know what. There was
11 o'clock. It's not the biggest deal in the world. It's going to be a couple of routes. We have 3 based aircraft there. That's the key to...
is there a chance we get another with the pressure on Dublin due to the cap?
A very good chance to get another. It's nothing to do with Dublin, by the way. Dublin is a separate logarithm. But Ryanair have new aircraft coming on board all the time. Now, not as many as they wanted because Boeing are slow, but a whole platter of them. Like 8 of the aircraft that were supposed to be here for the start of the summer only arriving now. So it sort of gives them winter options, and there's a good chance he'll drop another one in Cork. Bringing a based aircraft in is big economically. It actually does an awful lot for the city, and what you don't want to be is at the end of the bus run, with the planes coming and departing again. Having a based aircraft gives you those very key early morning frequencies, which are very, very important. Okay. People like to get out early in the morning and get a late flight back when at the end of their holiday. So it effectively can give you 2 extra days of your holiday.
We'll find out more at 11. Can we look for a second at the budget yesterday and how it will be received in tourism? I know the restaurants are livid about the non-return of the 35 or the 9% VAT, and there's a lot more to play out on that. The Tourism Industry Federation said there wasn't a proper focus on tourism. Generally, the sector will have very much a kind of a meh about yesterday's budget, won't they?
Not a mention, PJ. Not a mention. I mean, you look at our 2 biggest indigenous industries. Obviously, the Irish economy is built on things like pharmaceuticals, very big in Cork, and software, also big in Cork and Apple headquarters. But what employs people. The two things that employ people are agriculture and tourism. And agriculture, it got quite a very complex series of deals and transition and succession planning, all those really important little small points. Obviously, a lot of technical detail. Tourism was not mentioned, and I wonder what's going on, because there was no, you couldn't move without hearing the tourism campaign, which focused really on the 13.5% VAT being reduced to 9%. But there was about 20 other measures they were looking for, really important things to make their operating a business proper, to make operating business possible. You know, some of it was very technical around visas for chefs, things like that. But nothing, not one mention of our biggest Indigenous employer in the country. And it's like it's fallen off the radar. Now, what's going on? I know from just conversations, and this is something that doesn't turn up at press conferences or press releases, that the officials in the Department of Finance really they're like a dog with a bone on this. The 13.5% must stay. We gave it to them, and 9%. There's an element, there's a bit of a sneer about hotel prices. The reaction to that was that the Restaurants Association and the Hotels Federation agreed to decouple the food and beverage side of it. But it's like they have a mental block on it. Now, businesses are closing. No need to repeat what's going on, because it's been very well publicised by Adrian Cummins and others that about 600 businesses have closed. It's a very difficult thing to define looking independently at it, because businesses are opening as well. But there's absolutely no doubt at the sort of business that's opening and the sort of business that's closing.
Well, Eoghan, there's another great voice in hospitality and in this country is Nevin Maguire. I'm sure you'll agree. Here's what he said yesterday on this very programme about the failure to return to 9%. It's only 20 seconds.
Small kind of cafes, restaurants, I mean, they come on, they have to support those small businesses, you know. Honestly, that was going to be a lifeline for a lot of people. I think it's short-sighted, to be honest with you, too. You know what I mean? There'll be a lot more, you know, obviously closures and a lot more unemployment, unfortunately, and that's what goes around comes around. If you don't support our small businesses like that, you know, they're the heart and soul of every community.
When the department is ignoring voices like that, Eoghan, we've a problem, don't we?
Yeah, because, as I say, the businesses that are opening are very different from the businesses that are closing. In restaurants, they tend to be the big chains, the big names that crop up city by city, turning Cork into another city, like a provincial English or French town with all the same names on the street. The family run is the one that's under pressure, and we're losing out of this. And the same is happening in hotels, the big chain hotels, the familiar names, the ones you see advertised on the internet and on television. They're the ones that are opening, whereas the Premier Inns or whatever, whereas the family-run hotel, which was the staple of Irish life, weddings, communions, all of that down the year, is the one under pressure. Michael Magnier, of course, Cork, very, very vociferous, very angry, as was yesterday, describing the budget in very disparaging terms, because, as I say, not a single mention for hospitality.
For one of our biggest employing sectors. Eoghan, thank you. Eoghan Corry, travel journalist.